Every night, you die. Not in reality, in a dream. You were falling, suffocating, or you simply knew it was over and you woke up with your heart pounding like you'd been sprinting. You lay there for 10 seconds, then exhaled, reached for your phone, and 5 minutes later you were scrolling, because you know, it was just a dream. Now erase that knowledge. Imagine you wake up the same way, heart hammering, drenched in sweat. But around you there's no apartment. Around you there's open steppe, a dying fire, and 20 people sleeping pressed against each other for warmth. You just saw your father. He died 3 months ago, but in the dream he was standing right in front of you, alive, speaking, saying something, but you couldn't hear the words. And then he was gone. You have no word for dream. You have no concept of the subconscious. You have no explanation for what just happened to you. You have only one question: where did he go? And why did he come back? 100,000 years ago, the human brain was built exactly the same as yours. Same neurons, same architecture, same chemical processes during sleep. But the world around that brain was fundamentally different. You have physics, chemistry, medicine, and Google. Ancient humans had none of that. They had only one tool for understanding reality: observation. You see fire, it burns. Remember that. You see dark clouds, rain is coming. Remember that. You see lion tracks, leave. Now, the entire world was explained through what you could see with your own eyes. And here is where the problem begins. Every night your eyes are closed, but you keep seeing people who no longer exist, places that never existed, events that never happened, and all of it completely real. You can smell it, you feel the fear, you feel the pain, then you open your eyes, and it's gone. For a modern person, this is background noise of life. For ancient humans, this was the most terrifying and most important experience imaginable. Because if your entire system of understanding the world is built on what you see, then what you see at night is data too. Data you cannot explain. And what you cannot explain is not background noise. It is a signal. And right here, at a dying fire, in the darkness, with a pounding heart, humanity asked the question that changed everything. Where does it come from? Anthropologists have studied hundreds of peoples across different continents, peoples who never had any contact with each other. Different languages, different climates, different millennia. And they found something that should have been impossible. Every single one of them arrived at the exact same conclusion about dreams. At night, the soul leaves the body and travels to another world. Not a similar idea. Not something close. The exact same thought, word for word, among peoples who had no idea the others existed. From Africa to Siberia. From the Amazon to the Arctic. This is not a coincidence of tradition. This is not a fluke. This is the only logical answer the human mind produces when faced with a question it cannot avoid. Think about it yourself. You saw your dead father in a dream, alive, speaking. It was real, you felt it in every cell of your body. Option 1. It was an illusion. Your brain constructed an image from nothing. But wait, you have never heard of electrical signals in neurons. You don't even know what the brain is as an organ. To you, the brain is just something inside the skull. Option 2. He came. He exists somewhere. And he found a way to reach you while you sleep and your defenses are down. Which of these is more logical if you have no neuroscience? The second one. And in that moment, in that specific conclusion beside a specific dying fire, an idea was born that lives today inside every religion on the planet. The afterlife. Existence after death. A world running parallel to this one. Philosophers didn't invent this in beautiful libraries. Priests didn't create it in temples. A terrified human being invented it, someone who had just seen their dead father and could find no other explanation. Morning comes, and now you have to decide something. 8 men are going on a hunt tomorrow at dawn. The route has been planned for days. Everyone is ready. Everyone is certain. But last night you dreamed of blood on the grass, and empty hands returning to camp. Do you say something? Or do you stay silent and carry that weight alone while 8 men walk into the steppe? You speak, and the route changes. Not because anyone is certain your dream was real, but because in a world with no other way to read what's coming, a dream is the closest thing to information that exists. And beneath the ritual, something remarkable was actually happening. All day long, every member of the tribe was noticing things. Something nagging at the edge of awareness. An animal behaving strangely. A smell that was slightly wrong. A sound that stopped too soon. Most of these observations never made it into words. The language was too simple. The moment too fast. But at night the brain processed everything it had absorbed and produced images. In the morning those images came together. Every fear, every instinct, every unspoken observation pooled into a single collective picture. This was the first form of intelligence that was larger than any one person, and it created the first form of power. Not everyone had significant dreams, or not everyone could tell them in a way that made others believe. But there was one person who dreamed constantly, whose images were more precise, whose words made the elders go quiet and listen. That person gained something more valuable than physical strength, more valuable than any hunting skill. They gained the right to speak on behalf of another world. In some tribes, this person was never sent to hunt, never sent to gather food, never given any other task. Their only job every single day was to dream, and to remember, and to tell. This was the first shaman, a role that appeared before any other specialization in human history, before the potter, before the blacksmith, before the warrior. The first professional in the history of humanity was a person who knew how to work with what happens when we close our eyes. Southern France. A group of teenagers accidentally finds the entrance to a cave. What they find inside defies explanation. Hundreds of animal images cover the walls. Bulls, horses, deer. Painted with extraordinary accuracy, the artist had clearly observed these animals thousands of times. But deep in the cave, one image unlike all the others. A human, the only human in the entire cave, lying horizontally as if falling, or floating. Beside him, a wounded bison. Below him, a bird on a pole. Scientists argued about this image for decades. A hunting scene? A ritual? An accident? Then one researcher proposed something that changed everything we understand about prehistoric art. This man did not die. He did not fall. He is dreaming. Now look at the cave differently. You go in deliberately, deep, to where there is no light at all. Narrow corridors where you have to crawl on your hands and knees. The air grows heavy. The silence inside is so complete you can hear your own heartbeat. And then, nothing. Only darkness in every direction. Neuroscientists know exactly what happens to the brain in these conditions. Sensory deprivation, the removal of light, sound, space, pushes the brain into an altered state faster than almost anything else. Hallucinations begin. The brain starts generating images from within in dots, spirals, creatures with human bodies and animal heads. These exact images appear in caves across the entire world. Spain, Indonesia, Africa, Australia, painted by people separated by oceans and thousands of years, who never knew each other existed. Ancient humans didn't know the neuroscience, but they knew the result in their own bodies. Go deep enough, lie still, close your eyes, and another world begins to emerge through the black. They painted what they saw and called it truth. We ran experiments and called it science. The question between them never changed. Caves were not shelters. Caves were the first temples. Places people entered deliberately to cross the border between worlds and come back with something to show for it. Then you would stand, take the ochre in your hand, and paint what you had seen on the wall. The wall held the record of the journey, proof that the other world was real, that you had been there, that you had returned. 30,000 years ago, in total darkness, with nothing but a small animal fat lamp and the sound of your own breathing against the stone. These people were not making art for beauty, they were documenting their dreams. 100,000 years passed, and we found our explanation. We called it neurons. We called it REM sleep. We built entire sciences around the 8 hours when consciousness goes somewhere we still cannot fully follow. We finally had the answer. And yet, research across thousands of people, different countries, different educations, different beliefs, shows the same pattern every time. A dream about a loved one's illness creates more anxiety than actual medical statistics about risk. A dream the night before an important decision influences the choice even in people who would call themselves complete skeptics. Most people, if they're honest, hesitate before describing a disturbing dream out loud, as if saying it gives it power, as if silence is a kind of protection. We say it's just a dream, and we still don't fully believe it. Here is why. During REM sleep, the brain is nearly as active as when you're completely awake. The regions responsible for emotion work harder than they do during the day. The fear you feel in a nightmare is not a simulation of fear. It is fear, chemically, physically, identically to what floods your body when something threatens your life in waking reality. Your body doesn't know it's a dream. It responds as if everything is happening right now. So who had it right? The ancient human who believed the dead could speak through sleep? Or you, who knows the answer is neurons, but still lies in the dark after a nightmare and doesn't immediately reach for the phone? Here is what actually happened. Sleep, a biological process, a side effect of having a brain complex enough to need nightly repair, became the foundation on which humanity built everything that followed. The concept of the soul, from dreams. The belief in life after death, from dreams. The first social hierarchy, from dreams. The first art ever made by human hands, from dreams. The first division of labor in any human society, the person whose entire job was to work with dreams. None of this started with revelation. None of it started with genius. It started with a terrified person who woke in the middle of the night, stared at a dying fire, felt the darkness pressing in from every direction, and could not explain what had just happened inside their own mind. They were not less intelligent than you. They had the same brain, the same need to understand, the same inability to leave a question unanswered. They just didn't have the data you have. And from that darkness, from that single unanswerable moment beside a fire, they built the first version of every answer humans have ever reached for. Tonight you will close your eyes. Your brain will start its film again. And in that last fraction of a second before sleep takes you, you will feel exactly what they felt beside that fire 100,000 years ago. That quiet unease without a cause. That sense of a border growing thin between what is real and what is waiting just beyond it. The explanation has changed. The experience never did. Every answer humanity ever built started in the dark, beside a fire, inside a mind that couldn't stay silent. If you'd rather keep asking those questions than scroll past them, this channel is where we sit beside that fire. Subscribe, and next time you close your eyes, pay attention to what you see.